Usually when we talk about a massive life milestone, you know, getting married, buying a house,
Yeah, having a kid.
exactly, there is this widespread expectation of like a cinematic moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The music swells, the crowd cheers, you pop the champagne. It's a very loud, very visible finish line.
It's the peak of the mountain, you plant the flag, and everyone is there clapping for you.
Right. But then you step into the world of selling a business, and suddenly that cinematic finish line is just completely absent.
Oh, entirely absent.
We are looking at an emotional landscape that is, honestly, remarkably quiet. So, welcome to this special Hazel Property Group deep dive, designed specifically for you. And when I say you, I am talking directly to the UK owner-managers who are, well, considering selling your business privately and off-market.
Because it's a very specific journey.
It really is. In previous discussions, we've gotten into the weeds on deal mechanics, valuations, due diligence, but today's mission is deeply personal. We are focusing entirely on the emotional and psychological reality of life after the sale, looking at this entirely from your point of view as the seller.
Because what happens when the ink is actually dry is often, far more complex than the deal itself.
Yeah. We've got a really fascinating stack of sources today to guide us through this. We're pulling from expert financial insights from RBC Wealth Management, Path Financial, Elite Business Magazine, and alongside that, some really raw firsthand accounts from founders.
The real stories.
Exactly, from the Wayfinders blog, Found for Easy Run, and a remarkably honest Reddit UK personal finance thread. Because the narrative we are usually sold is that completion day is the ultimate victory, right? The champagne is flowing, life is suddenly perfect.
But the reality is that the day after the sale often brings this really jarring sense of emptiness. All the lawyers and bankers, they prepare you for the deal structure, the warranties.
Sort of the paperwork.
Right. But nobody prepares you for the Tuesday morning, say, 3 months after the sale, when you are standing in your kitchen at 10 a.m. with absolutely nothing that needs your attention.
That image, the Tuesday morning kitchen, it comes up repeatedly in these firsthand accounts from the Wayfinders blog. It's so vivid.
It is. And the psychological mechanism behind that empty feeling is profound. For decades, your business has acted as this invisible scaffolding of your life.
Oh, I like that phrase, invisible scaffolding.
It dictated your daily rhythm. It told you when to wake up, where to be, and it provided you with a continuous stream of decisions that actually mattered before lunch.
Right, high stakes.
Exactly. It gave you a community, the daily banter with your team, a cadence to your week. When you sell, that scaffolding does not get slowly dismantled over time. It vanishes overnight.
It is a hard stop. Elite Business Magazine shared a quote from a wealth manager who recalled clients calling them weeks after a multi-million-pound exit saying, you know, I thought I'd feel relieved, but instead I just feel weird.
Yeah, weird is the exact word they used.
But wait, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate here. Isn't absolute freedom the entire point of selling? I mean, isn't having nothing to do the dream we are all working toward?
It is the dream until you are actually living it on a random weekday in November. We are simply not wired for a sudden, total absence of responsibility.
Fair point.
And that is especially true if you are the type of person driven enough to build a successful company from the ground up. You have been operating with a high-stakes, fast-paced mindset for years. You can't just switch that engine off.
It's like training for the Olympics for 20 years, right? You eat, sleep, and breathe your sport. The day after you win the gold medal, you wake up and realize you don't have a gym to go to anymore.
Spot on.
Your coach is gone. Your training schedule is blank. What do you actually do on a Tuesday?
And this connects to a much bigger picture. It is not just about losing a schedule. It is a fundamental disruption to your identity.
Yes, the identity piece is huge.
There was a study from Columbia Business School that Wayfinder cited, and they followed entrepreneurs after their exits. The findings were staggering. 100% of the entrepreneurs experienced a significant disruption to their identity.
Wait, 100%, not like a strong majority.
100%, every single one of them.
Wow.
Because for years, the business was not just what they did, it was who they were. It provided their social status, their sense of community, their overarching purpose in life.
Right.
One founder actually described the feeling as being free in exactly the way a balloon is free when the string is cut. You are untethered, just floating without direction.
That is a terrifying kind of freedom. I want you, the listener, to really think about this for a second. If your business has been your go-to answer at dinner parties for the last 20 years, when someone asks, what do you do? And you proudly name the company you built.
Yep.
Who are you without that title? When the answer suddenly becomes, I used to run a company, how does that change your sense of self?
It totally shifts how people look at you, and it forces us to question what actually drives our day-to-day happiness.
Right.
We frequently tie our future happiness to a specific financial milestone, but if you read the accounts of founders who have crossed that finish line, it provides a very sobering reality check. Take the founder on blog.
Oh, yeah, I read that piece.
He talked about the common goal of paying off a mortgage. He wrote about how a year before selling his business, he sold some shares specifically to clear his mortgage. It had been his ultimate life goal for a decade.
Which is, the holy grail of personal finance. You own the roof over your head outright.
Exactly. But he admitted that when the final payment cleared, it had almost zero impact on his daily happiness. The relief completely dissipated the moment he realized he still had a dozen other monthly bills, payroll to meet, and operational fires to put out at work.
So the money didn't fix the stress.
No, what actually changed his life after the full exit of the company was the simple ability to wake up without the dread of high-stakes, stressful responsibilities. It was the absence of negative pressure, not the presence of a lump sum of money, that brought him peace.
And here's the brutal irony of all this.
Yep.
Just as you are grappling with this massive identity void, floating around like a cup balloon,
Yeah.
you are suddenly hit with a completely new, unfamiliar responsibility, which is managing the actual capital from the sale.
Which is a massive shock to the system. You are shifting from a world you understand perfectly, the familiar, messy flow of a business you built and controlled, to a world of wealth management that can feel entirely alien.
Right, and RBC Wealth Management has the data to back this up. Looking at individuals who are newly wealthy from a liquidity event, 89% say they need immediate guidance on the responsibility of having that wealth.
89%.
Yeah, and that is compared to just 63% of people with established generational wealth.
Because it's completely new territory.
I know what you're thinking, listener. Oh no, having millions in the bank is so stressful. Let me play the world's smallest violin for you.
Right. People might roll their eyes at the idea of a wealthy founder being anxious.
Sure, from the outside, it looks like a luxury problem.
But for an owner used to controlling every variable, shifting from an active operator to a passive investor is terrifying. You are losing your agency.
The anxiety is completely valid. I mean, you have spent years, maybe decades, risking everything to build this capital. Suddenly, it is sitting in a bank account. And the realization hits you that a standard UK bank account under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme only protects £85,000.
That realization is a cold shower.
Oh, absolutely. You realize you need multiple accounts or you need to invest it. But growing money requires an entirely different skill set than making it.
Yes.
When you ran your business, if revenues dipped, you could work harder, pivot your marketing strategy, call more clients. You had direct agency over the outcome.
You could hustle your way out of it. Exactly. With the stock market, you are just a passenger. A market correction can wipe out a significant portion of your net worth in an afternoon, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it.
And we have to look at the mathematical reality of wealth preservation versus wealth generation. Let's say you sell your business and clear £10 million after tax. You decide to just sit on it in cash because that feels safe.
Which a lot of people do.
But inflation is a silent tax. If inflation is running at 3% a year, that £10 million is losing £300,000 of purchasing power every 12 months. It is evaporating.
It's gone.
In the business world, you could launch a new product line to cover a £300,000 shortfall. You can't outwork inflation when you are retired.
And that is the exact realization that causes many owners to panic in the months following an exit. They take this massive lump sum and they just scatter it.
Just throw it everywhere.
Yeah, Elite Business warns about this. They throw it into random funds or they buy up a portfolio of buy-to-let properties because physical bricks and mortar feel tangible and safe.
Right. It feels like real work.
But by doing that without a cohesive long-term strategy, you aren't achieving security. You are just swapping business chaos for wealth chaos. You are creating a new, highly stressful job for yourself as a landlord or an amateur fund manager.
So you have got this emotional void from the loss of identity colliding head-on with financial anxiety about preserving the capital.
A dangerous mix.
It really is. The immediate instinct for almost every hard-charging founder is to fix the uncomfortable feeling by taking aggressive action. Start a new company. Join 5 different boards. Become an angel investor and fund 10 startups.
And the consensus among transition experts and founders who have lived it is unanimous. Reacting to that discomfort with immediate action is the single biggest mistake you can make.
It makes me think of a deep-sea scuba diver.
Hmm.
You have been operating at this extreme high-pressure depth of running your business for years. If you come up to the surface and immediately try to sprint a marathon, or if you ascend too fast without stopping, you are going to get the bends.
That's a perfect way to put it.
You have to take time to decompress. Your body and your mind need to adjust to normal atmospheric pressure.
If you immediately fill the hole by starting a new company within a few months of selling, Wayfinders points out that you are usually just climbing a second mountain that turns out to be the exact same as the first one, just slightly taller.
Right. You haven't actually moved forward.
No. The prevailing recommendation is to wait 12 to 24 months before making any major life or business commitments.
Which, I mean, sounds like an absolute eternity to someone used to moving at 100 miles an hour.
It does.
But even anonymous online communities of high net worth individuals back this up. On that Reddit thread we mentioned, someone announced they had just sold a business for £3 million.
Yep.
And the most highly upvoted advice is incredibly grounded. It is never about complex options trading or starting a new venture.
No, the top advice is usually to protect yourself from the vultures immediately. Don't respond to unsolicited DMs. And beyond that, the overwhelming consensus is to take 6 to 12 months to do absolutely nothing.
Path Financial echoes this, right?
Yeah. Path Financial advises parking the funds temporarily in cash or very low volatility solutions. Not to maximize returns, but just to buy yourself the space to breathe and think without the pressure of market fluctuations.
And there's a really stark warning that circulates in those financial circles about founders who think their business acumen will automatically translate into day trading success. It is called the 90-90-90 rule.
Oh, this is a brutal one.
It is. It states that 90% of new traders lose 90% of their initial investment within 90 days. Being a genius at running a logistics company does not make you a genius at reading technical stock charts.
That is a brilliant reality check. It emphasizes why the pause is so critical. You need time to detach your ego from your capital.
Okay, so let's assume you take the pause. You decompress, you don't buy a yacht, you don't day trade tech stocks, and you don't immediately start a new business. What actually happens next? Have you built a fulfilling life after the sale?
The sellers who truly thrive are the ones who figure out how to move towards something rather than just running away from the stress of their old business. It is about building the new business of your life and your wealth,
Right.
which requires establishing an entirely new way of keeping score.
Because the marginal utility of wealth drops off a cliff at a certain point. The leap from having zero in the bank to having £5 million completely transforms your life. You have absolute security.
Total game changer.
But the founder and author points out that the leap from £5 million to £50 million really doesn't change your day-to-day existence all that much. You can still only sleep in one bed and eat 3 meals a day.
So if money can no longer be the primary metric for success, you need new ones. You have to construct a new set of key performance indicators for your personal life.
New KPIs, I love that.
Yeah. For some founders, success becomes mentoring other early-stage entrepreneurs and watching them win. For others, it is redeveloping a house to have a tangible, physical result at the end of the day. It might even be tracking blog subscribers or a charitable foundation.
And you apply that same structured thinking to your wealth. You need a formal framework, so managing the money doesn't become a second stressful full-time job.
Exactly.
This is where we get into the actual mechanics of wealth management. Elite Business Magazine talks about a tool that comes up frequently for post-sale founders in the UK, which is the International Portfolio Bond, also known as an offshore bond.
Yes, and we should clarify right off the bat, this isn't some shady secret tax haven scheme.
Right, no briefcases of cash on a speedboat.
No, not at all. It is a very standard, highly regulated investment wrapper used by major financial institutions. And the mechanics of it are quite elegant for a post-sale scenario.
How does it actually work in practice?
To understand it, you have to look at how the UK tax system treats it. In the eyes of HMRC, an offshore bond is considered a non-income producing asset. Inside this wrapper, your fund manager can buy and sell equities, rebalance the portfolio, collect dividends.
All the normal investment activities.
Right. Ordinarily, if you held those investments directly, you would be paying capital gains tax or dividend tax on all those internal transactions, and you would be filing a complex tax return every year.
But inside the wrapper, those internal transactions are shielded from immediate UK tax. The investments grow corrosive tax.
Exactly. And the real advantage is the withdrawal mechanism. Under UK rules, you can currently withdraw up to 5% of your original investment amount each year without triggering an immediate income tax liability on that withdrawal.
Because the tax authority views that 5% as a return of your original capital, not as profit.
Yes, that's exactly it. The tax on the actual growth is deferred until the bond is finally surrendered or you exceed that cumulative 5% allowance. It provides an incredibly clean, predictable way to draw a steady income to fund your new lifestyle.
Without drowning in daily tax calculations.
Or worrying about timing the market to harvest capital gains, you get your steady 5% and you can get on with your life. Elite Business quoted a client who said setting this up felt like building another business, only this one doesn't cause arguments or require HR meetings.
That is the dream right there. But setting up those structures requires looking ahead. You cannot wait until the money actually hits your current account to start these conversations.
No, it's too late by then.
You need to be talking to wealth advisors and tax planners at least 12 months before the exit. Because if you wait until after the completion day, some major planning doors have already permanently closed.
This is particularly critical when it comes to inheritance tax or IHT. The transition from business owner to wealth holder is the most vulnerable moment for your estate.
Why is that?
Because when you own a qualifying private trading business in the UK, those shares often benefit from business relief. Historically, this has provided a 100% exemption from inheritance tax.
Okay, let me introduce an analogy here to make sure the mechanics of this are crystal clear. Think of business relief as a tax force field around your wealth.
Okay.
As long as the business is actively trading and you own the shares, the force field is powered up. If something happens to you, that value passes to your beneficiaries, completely shielded from the 40% inheritance tax.
Right.
But the moment you sell those shares for cash, the power source is cut. The force field drops instantly. That multi-million-pound pile of cash is now 100% exposed to the elements, and HMRC will take 40% of it above your nil rate band.
That is exactly what happens. And we must factor in the changing legislative landscape here in the UK. Under the changes announced for April 2026, that 100% exemption for business relief is being capped.
Right, the new rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
It will only apply to the first £1 million of qualifying assets, with a 50% exemption on anything above that. So the math is shifting significantly, but the underlying principle remains exactly the same. Holding cash is vastly more exposed to IHT than holding qualifying business assets.
This is why the timing of the planning is so vital. RBC and Path Financial both emphasize this. We always hear about founders setting up trusts, but how does the timeline actually affect the mechanics of that? Why is it worse to do it after the sale?
It all comes down to entry charges. So let's say you wait until after the sale, right?
Yeah.
And you have £2 million in cash that you want to put into a discretionary trust for your children just to get it out of your estate.
Makes sense.
Under UK trust rules, transferring cash above your available nil rate band, which is currently £325,000, it triggers an immediate 20% lifetime inheritance tax charge.
Wait, you are paying a massive tax penalty just to put your own cash into a trust.
Yes, exactly. It's a huge upfront hit.
But what if you do it before the sale?
If you do before the sale, you settle a portion of your qualifying trading shares into the trust. Because those shares are protected by the business relief force field at the moment of transfer, they can enter the trust without triggering that 20% entry charge.
Oh, wow.
Then, when the business is sold a few months later, the trust receives the cash directly from the buyer. The cash is safely inside the trust structure for future generations, and you entirely bypassed the upfront tax hit.
That is incredible.
But you can only execute that strategy while you still hold the shares. Once the deal completes, that option is gone forever.
See, the irony of all this is that the exact traits that made you a successful founder in the first place.
Yeah.
The meticulous forward planning, the patience to see a multi-year strategy through, the consistency to build robust structures.
Yeah.
Those are exactly the tools you need to manage your life and your wealth after the sale. You just have to apply them in a totally new context.
You are not retiring from work. You are just changing your job description from CEO of the company to CEO of your family's future.
I love that.
You are shifting your focus from generating revenue to generating stability and purpose. The founders who struggle the most are the ones who view the sale as the finish line.
Right, they just stop.
Exactly. The ones who thrive view the sale as the starting line for a completely different phase of life. They have actively planned what their new scaffolding will look like before they even sign the papers.
Which brings us back to you, the listener. If you take nothing else away from this deep dive, remember this. Selling your business is not just a financial event. It is a profound personal transition.
It touches every part of your life.
The sellers who handle it best are the ones who plan for the after, just as rigorously as they plan for the deal itself. Start thinking right now about what you want your life to look like once the ink is dry. What is your new scaffolding going to be? How will you define yourself when you no longer have the company title next to your name?
And be prepared to give yourself the grace to figure it out slowly. Do not rush to fill the void. The void is a necessary part of the transition.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We have talked a lot about the strategic skills you need to carry forward, but consider the possibility that the aggressive, relentless, hard-charging habits you utilized to build your company the need to always be doing, to always be pushing, to always be optimizing.
The founder hustle.
Right. Consider that those are the exact opposite of the skills you will need to peacefully enjoy its rewards. When the time finally comes, how will you unlearn the very habits that made you successful in the first place? How will you learn to just stand in your kitchen on a Tuesday morning, listen to the silence, and be totally okay with it?
That's the real challenge.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this special Hazel Property Group deep dive. We hope this has given you some valuable perspective on the road ahead. Keep exploring, keep planning, and we will catch you next time.